Yes. Dr. Minnie in the house. All right.
I appreciate that.
The carnivore diet.
Because of what we eat.
Honestly, you've really touched my heart.
So what breaks a fast? This is like the age-old question. So you're never gonna get an agreed upon answer on this. So right, I think there's a spectrum, a gradient of things that are erring on the side of I want this fast to be as pure and I want to get all the benefits as possible. And then I think there's a gradient of area of fasting mimicking things that you're going to get most of the benefits of fasting, if not all of them, but you could be down regulating some of the benefits, but you're not canceling out your fast. You're not breaking your fast. And then there's things that break the fast. Namely, I would say higher, obviously eating more food, like above a certain calorie threshold, or specifically things that could impact insulin, really impact digestion, or impact mTOR in a considerable way. So I think that the safest bet is water or liquids that don't have any calories. I think coffee and tea is in that state too. We know that cortisol can be impacted, and some people within the keto and the fasting community that say coffee can impact insulin and all that stuff. But the reality is, look, what's happening in this hormetic effect of this hormesis of fasting, cortisol is coming up some too. Just because something raises cortisol doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Coffee also can increase lipolysis and fat burning, can increase satiety levels to make your fast easier. So I think that coffee and tea are a great tool to consider. And you can do caffeine-free tea if you are sensitive to caffeine. But as a general rule, if you're not sensitive to caffeine, if you're a fast metabolizer of caffeine, I think coffee and tea are like pretty solid. You're cool. I think the next step over is adding the healthy fats into the coffee and tea or water. So like the MCT oil, the coconut oil, the ghee even, where it's just fat, you're not getting protein. So you're not impacting insulin. It's such a negligible amount. You're not having copious amounts of these. It's just a spoonful. So calories are pretty low. You're not really impacting things one way or the other too much. If you're having multiple cups of those, I think that could be a little bit not ideal during the fast. So maybe just do one of those and then the rest just having without the fat in it. And then the next question that people ask is, can I add the almond milk creamer? Can I add the collagen? So like at that point, the almond milk creamer or the coconut creamer, or coconut milk, the small amounts of protein, probably not that big of a deal. It is calories, having some carbohydrates in there too, such a small amount. But if you even look at what Valter Longo is doing at USC when it comes to the fasting mimicking approach, you're having pretty significant amount of calories and proteins and fats and carbs. And the research shows you're still in a fasting mimicking state. You're not breaking your fast totally. It would just be under that gradient of fasting mimicking. You're still going to be in ketosis. You're still going to be getting a lot of the benefits of it. Once you start adding in scoops of collagen protein, still calorically, not that much, really not that big of a deal. If you look at what the research on what Valter Longo is looking at, I still would say more or less you're going to be in a fasting mimicking state. But for me, I think erring on the side of the fact that mTOR pathway is sensitive to protein, I would err on not adding higher amounts of protein in, even if it is just a scoop of collagen, and use that collagen as the break the fast meal, like towards the end of your fast is what I would say, because it is very gentle on the gut. It's very bioavailable, a great source of a complete protein. But I would have more of the collagen and even like soups and stews and bone broth towards the end of the fast as the break the fast meal. That's not to say that there's not a place for brothing and souping. I just think it would be more of like that fasting mimicking state. So that's my overall thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, well said. I think that's really well said. What do you think of the measurement of like measure your blood sugar, drink what you're going to drink, hour later, measure your blood sugar again? You know, what's that doing? Do you think that's helpful for people when they're first learning this?
Oh yeah. I think that's great. And I think that at the beginning too, metrics like that, like getting a glucometer, getting a ketone meter can be a great way to see how your body reacts. That's a brilliant point, because that bioindividuality is we're all different, and these foods are going to interplay different, what your activity level, how you slept, all these other variables are going to play a part of it too. And that goes back to that, use it for a time to check in with your body and to learn how your body interacts with these things. But over time, that art, that intuition, you won't necessarily have to keep measuring over and over again, unless you're a super mega biohacker and you really love that stuff, keep doing it. But many people, they don't want to be super like granular and that mired down with the metrics all the time. So keep it simple if you want to, but at the beginning, it could be a good learning experience about your body.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think the title Intuitive Fasting from a fasting perspective is brilliant, because I would say I know that moment where it's almost like there's switch flips and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in ketosis now. I get it. Like there's like a weird switch that happens.